Today's Instagram live show is all about hair loss. So I'll let you guys start coming on. I've been dealing with hair loss for, my gosh, it seems like my whole life. But this is the first live show that I'm doing without any extensions in my hair. I haven't been extension free in 17 years. Thanks you guys for jumping back on. I hope that this connection is going to work a little bit better. There's so many multiple causes of hair loss. And so I wanted to be very honest about the struggle that I have had, which has been intense. It has been an intense struggle. Genetically, and we're going to go over all the different reasons for hair loss, but genetically, I'm screwed. Everybody in my family has like 3 hairs on their head and they all tangle up together. So I have baby fine hair, and I stress shed. So I have a whole stress reduction practice. If you guys missed that live show, go back and watch that, because stress affects everything, including our hair. And then for women who, yes, I'm going to upload this live, but for women who lose hair and have been struggling with hair loss for a long time, especially my menopausal women, there is a lot of trauma and stress that compounds the fact that we're losing our hair. So I just want to go over some of the different causes. There's a lot of different causes, you guys, but like I said, anxiety, depression, all of that stuff affects your stress level. That stress level then affects your hair. You can actually change the, shorten the duration, the length of your hair. You can have your hair fall out, and you can change the color of your hair, all by stress. All by stress. Some people stress eat, I stress shed. That's why I have such a very constant and consistent stress reduction protocol that I follow every single day, and that has also helped me to keep some of my hair. It's traumatic, for Christ's sake. It really is. So everything is connected. How we look affects us psychologically. It really does. And I am just now, you guys, to the point where I don't have to use tape-ins anymore. I've tried to cover up my lack of hair for so long, and I've gone from the tape-ins that were permanently in my hair, that started at least, 17 years ago. I want to say more than that. I was probably 35 when I first started doing the little things. Hi, Karen. I'm extension free today, Karen. No extensions in my hair, and we're talking about hair loss. And I have tried every single extension out there with the little beads, is how I started, with the tape-ins, with the clips, with the halos. And you listen, I've graduated now to the halos, because not everybody can wear those kind of devices in your hair if your hair is so thin that you can see the wire. So it's taken me so long to get to this point. And why I was a little bit late coming on here is I was trying to search back to my photos when my hair was like at its absolute worst, and I wouldn't even take a photo of my hair to send in to a hair place to get a piece. I was like this, showing my hair, because it didn't even seem like me. It was so embarrassing and so everything. And so for those people that are struggling, especially my menopausal women, and your hair is dropping right now, there are solutions out there, and I'm telling you, I have coached women through this over the years, and every single one of them is having hair growth at this moment. So I think that in really studying this and really having my own hair trauma play into a drive to figure it out, and I know what that does to our emotions. I know what that does. I know how depressing that can be, and depression causes stress, which causes hair loss. So it's like this ridiculous cycle. But there's lots of different reasons, but by the age of 50, you guys, I'm 57, all my 50 over women out there, 80% of men and 50% of you, 50% of women are going to have noticeable hair loss. 25% of women are living with pattern hair loss. That's that male pattern baldness where it's thinner on the top, maybe thinner on the sides, from those androgen receptors, and we're going to get into that. And not all people experience anxiety about this, but 80 to 90% of us freak the fuck out And that's me, okay? I want to keep my hair for as long as I possibly can. I want to grow it back. I want to grow it thicker. I want it to be like it was when it was 25. If my muscle mass, by the way, I didn't have my phone with me yesterday. It was out of battery, but if anybody's wondering why I have these marks on me, I did some permanent tattoo in there and laid some color down to try to put some more color into scars that I had when I fell off a barbed wire fence when I lived on the farm. So that's what those are. But I was going to get that in my story and I didn't have my phone with me. But okay. So now we know 50% of women are going to have this, and 80 to 90% of us, when our hair starts falling, we freak out because it is traumatic. So we start losing hair at 30, the same time that we lose our muscle mass. Remember, sarcopenia happens. We start losing our muscle mass by 1 to 3% per year. Then there's those major drops off at 50, at 65, at 80, muscle tanks, muscle tanks, muscle tanks. At the same time that we're losing muscle, we are losing hair, even though we might not know it at the time. It's not noticeable for us yet. Thanks for Crassay for answering that. You guys, sometimes when I see questions, if I can pat my head and rub my stomach at the same time, it's kind of like that, because I'm reading what I need to answer and then I'm talking at the same time. So if anybody has the answer, like for craft's sake just did, jump in there, okay? Jump in there and help me out here. Thanks for craft's sake. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of different causes. Stress, we just talked about. Genetics. Okay, like I said, everybody in my family has about 3 hairs on their head and they all tangle up together. They're not in cooperation at all. So genetics play a big role. Nutrition, meaning iron, things like that. Hormonal changes, hello, perimenopause. It's just like that gift that keeps on giving, right? So just as we're getting hot flashes and night sweats and insomnia and brain fog and all of that, our hair is falling out. Thanks. But that's what happens. So all of that kind of stuff, and in addition, irregular sleep, which I'm going to get into, because you need regular sleep to have growth hormone, which is essential in the stem cells that are at the root of each hair. I'm going to get into that. So exposure to pollutants, heavy metals, things like that, toxicity can all have an effect on your hair, and lifestyle factors. If you're doing drugs and alcohol, right? If you're completely stressed out, if you're not exercising, all of these things make your hair fall out or make you not be able to hold on to your hair. So you would think that because I know at least one cause of the hair loss, in my case is stress, that I'd be able to do a stress-free protocol, which I do every day, and my hair would be great. But hair loss is so complicated. And just like everything else, it takes there's multiple causes, and it takes multiple kinds of treatments to really see a difference. Let me see what I did with that. Hold on 1 second, you guys. I'll be right back. 1 second. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. I want to tell you guys, I feel very vulnerable without my hair. I have my hair, it's over there. But as far as the hair that I grow on my head, I've never done a live show or even done content without my extensions. And even when I was younger, if you look at my old YouTube stuff, my hair was quite short. That's with extensions. I just wanted a short hairstyle, but because of the density of my hair and how fine it is, it still was like loaded with extensions, and I just had a little bit of a bob. So it's not the length it is that I'm concerned about, because I can always add pieces. It's the strength of it, how dense it is, and making sure that you can't see my scalp. There were many years, and I was trying to print a photo from like 3 years ago. I've made giant differences. Thank you for saying that. I've made giant differences in my hair over the last couple years. This right now, this does not feel like my hair. This does not feel like my typical hair. This, for me, for my personal hair, this is very dense for me. I can actually use a halo, which I'll show you guys real quick. This is what I have graduated to, which is, I'll show you. Can't believe I'm doing this. Holy shit. This is a halo. So it's got like a little wire. So I stopped doing the tape-ins. I stopped doing the clip-ins because it was damaging my hair more with that traction alopecia, right? If you got fine hair, to hang something off of it, I don't care what hairdresser tells you that extensions don't damage your hair. It's complete bullshit. They absolutely damage your hair. Every shaft, every little hair shaft that you have can only take so much, thanks Taylor for that, can only take so much weight to it, right? So then you're adding weight on top of it. But that's what I was having to do for so many years because I wanted long hair. I love long hair. We always want what we can't have, right? I love long hair. And so I was having to do tape-ins at that time were the least damaging. Then I thought, I can't keep doing this. Every time she took the tape-ins off, I was like, I don't care what you tell me, my hair is thinner. Every time she took them off, my hair is thinner, my hair is thinner, my hair is thinner. And finally, but I loved it because it was so long and luscious. But finally, I'm like, no more. I've got to start from scratch. I have to let my scalp heal. I have to go in and see what is actually going to work. I've just now graduated to a halo where there's nothing that's weighing on my hair. It's this little fine band that goes inside, not like a mustache, oh my God. But it goes here and then this hair comes over the top of it. So there's no pulling on the actual hair. Thank you so much, Duke, for saying that. My husband likes my hair short too. And it's not about what my husband likes, right? It's about what I like, what feels comfortable with me. And I love having long hair. So when I'm home, I wear things like this. Like I'll put like, little scrunchies and stuff in my hair to where it looks like I've got a lot more hair, but it's like just a bun, right? I can take pieces out. I can wear it different ways. So there's things that I can do to my hair now, that I can wear my hair now, that I wasn't able to do even a couple of years ago. So this is a little bit of anatomy about the hair, okay? By the way, do not take advice. There's a lot of great hairdressers out there, but a hairdresser did not go to school for hair loss. A dermatologist went to school for hair loss. So it is a dermatologist that you want to consult with when you're talking about hair loss. Because why? Because it's in the skin. The majority of the hair is in the skin. It's only the shaft that starts at where the epidermis is and comes out. That's the shaft that starts here and comes out. But look at how early it started, right? So we've got the hair shaft. We have a sebaceous gland. This secretes oil, and this secretes oil in such a way that it's antimicrobial, antifungal, and it protects the hair shaft. And we're going to get into that because there's some things that go wrong with this as well. That's the inner shaft, the outer root. This is where the stem cells are in here. So you have stem cells and pigmenting cells in here, those that have your hair turn a certain color. So when we talk about, and I'm going to talk about some solutions, but when I talk about things like spermidine and how not everybody, but many people are reversing their gray hair, it's because the melanocytes that live in the bulb of the hair have been, nudged. Hey, make this again. Increase the stem cells, but also increase the melanocytes there and add the color back in. And so that is what is happening with things like spermidine when people are able to not only grow strong hair and nails, which mine are rock hard at this point, but also in adding pigment that in the form of the melanocytes, adding pigment back into the shaft. So have there been people that have reversed their gray hair just from certain supplements that they were taking? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But this is the part that's really important. This is like that little erector muscle when you get goosebumps and your hair stands on end. This literally makes your hair stand on end, that little muscle right there. This is the bulb. This is where all of the stem cells originate from, is right here. And then there's a blood supply. The reason why I'm going over this, you guys, is because when you understand what the hair shaft is doing and what the hair is doing, then you understand like all those mechanisms that will work on this to improve it. And not everybody's hair loss is the same. Not everybody's hair loss. For craft's sake, I don't know that affluvium, but I can look into that. Okay, so text me or DM me separately and let me look into that. Okay, so that is basically the anatomy of the thing. So the hair shaft, as you can see, grows from the epidermis out. The hair root is below the epidermis and the dermis. The hair bulb, the hair bulb is down here at the bottom. That's where all the stem cells live. And the stem cells give rise to each hair. So you need to have stem cells for the hair to grow. If it goes into the resting phase, which we'll get in a second, there's no guarantee once this hair sheds that a new one is going to go out. And the reason why we talk about stem cells is because without a stem cell population in here, you're not going to have hair growth. Guess what happens as we get older? Stem cells start going down. A lot of other stuff happens as well. And the melanocytes, which I talked about, are also in here. But the blood supply, super, super important. I don't care how many handfuls of Nutrafol, please don't do that you take, which is the most popular hair vitamin. If you don't have the blood supply to get those nutrients there, you're not going to have hair growth. You're literally just peeing out those vitamins. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me keep going. We talked about the sebaceous gland. We talked about all of that. So there's 3 phases of growth. And I think for craft's sake, you were touching on this. The anagen phase, that's the growth phase. And I had another printout, but my printer wasn't working. I also had a printout of my hair like 2 years ago. You guys would be like, oh my God, I can't believe she grew her hair back. That's how bad my hair was. I would have never in a million years thought that I was going to do an Instagram live without any hair in. I have hair, but this is my own hair that I grew on my head. The other hair's mine too, but I purchased it. So the anagen phase is the growth phase, and it grows from the bottom up. It does not grow from here. Your hair grows from the bottom up. It pushes that out. Okay, and that duration varies depending on a lot of stuff, but a lot of it is genetics. I used to have, when I was, I want to say 22, my hair was like down to here. I had long hair. So am I capable to grow long hair? Maybe I can get back there. I don't know. It's growing really fast right now, and I'm going to show you guys how I did that. Thank you for crossing. It's very, very sweet of you to say. So the duration of this growing out is anywhere between 2 and 8 years. If your hair only grows for 2 years and then it goes into the resting phase, you're not going to be able genetically to grow long hair. If your hair grows for 8 years, if you're on that higher end of the spectrum, you see those people with the hair down to here, that is a very long growth phase for the hair. But typically it's 2 to 8 years, and average is 6 years. So by the time that this hair starts here and goes to however long it's going to go, at around 6 years is the average. Thank you for Oreos, cows. Is the average growth phase for a piece of hair. And then eyebrows are different. So eyebrows are like around 4 millimeters per month average for your eyebrow, and then it falls. Your hair isn't only, per month. It's 2 to 8 years. So after the anagen phase, that's the growth phase. That's when the hair is actually growing, is the catagen phase, and that is where all things kind of stop. The bulb recesses, so the whole thing from the inside out squeezes and recesses, and the stem cells and all of that stuff go right along with it. The melanocytes, the stem cells, all of that goes right along with it. That's the catagen phase, and that duration also changes. It's dependent on a lot of different stuff, but for the most part, it's that breakdown phase that happens. And then the telogen phase, which is the rest phase, and that to me is where it's like, I know, like, ooh, my hair is in a rest. If I've been through a high stress situation, You can, no matter what phase your hair is in, 2 years, 6 years, 8 years, even a baby hair, if you have a very, very high stress situation, your hair could automatically go into that catagen phase all at once. And that has happened to me a couple of different times in super high stress. Now listen, you might look at somebody else's life and think like that person doesn't have stress. I have a daughter who's been struggling, life and death struggle with addiction. That is one of the most stressful things that have been going through and continuing to go through. And so, like I said, I can have a stress-free practice, but man, when it's like a life and death situation, my hair went into a resting phase all at once. And then that's when you start getting the big handfuls. When you start getting handfuls of hair, or your shower drain becomes clogged up more than it usually is, look at your stress level and start looking at your hormones as well. So the telogen phase, that's the rest phase. Stem cells are inactive. There's no new stem cells, no new daughter cells are being produced by the stem cells. It recedes and it dies, and the stem cells and melanocytes die with it. So does the hair bulb re-enter the growth phase, which is the anagen phase? The ability for it to re-enter and grow again is dependent on a lot of different stuff, but hormones are responsible for the majority of that. So hormones can support that. Blood supply can support another hair follicle coming out. Nutrients such as iron, biotin, folate, stem cells, and blood flow is what we really, really need. Again, like I said, your hairdresser might have a lot of different tips, but they did not go to school for it. They did not go to school for it. And I have listened. I know that there's a lot of great hairdressers out there. Some of them actually have hair loss products. But when you're in a crisis like that, my two things I always tell my clients who are in a crisis, number one, go see your dermatologist immediately. Immediately. Go see your dermatologist. And number two, start on a prenatal vitamin. And that is just, the reason why I say that is because you're going to cover all your bases with a prenatal vitamin. Now, I can point to my healthy aging vitamin, and yeah, I would say this, but I'm not here to plug a product. This is the same thing. This has biotin, this has folate, it has all that stuff in it. But my supplements are expensive because they're very, very pure. They're very potent. They're very pure. They have the supplement facts box that's so big. A lot of third-party testing. If that is an issue with you and you are losing your hair, go get on a prenatal vitamin. You can get those from CVS or Costco. And you're at least nutrition-wise going to cover all of your bases, okay? But go and see your dermatologist. Make sure your hormones are optimized. So if you are over, women, if you're over the age of, I want to say 35, perimenopause can start as early as your 30s or early 40s. So we're going into menopause a lot earlier, or we're being very, there's such a focus on it right now that we're understanding the changes that are happening in our body with weight gain, with hair loss, with wrinkles, with sleep, with anxiety, all of that stuff, and how closely tied those are to hair loss. So we have to make sure that when we're at a certain age, 35 or older women, go and get your hormones tested, because hormones are so related to hair loss. So fluctuations can cause thinning, and they can cause hair loss. Testosterone, DHT, estrogen, thyroid hormone, insulin-like growth factor. If you are obese, you have such a higher chance of losing your hair because of insulin. Insulin being desensitized in your body will cause hair loss. I know. Okay, so if you've noticed a change in your hair, I suggest a full hormone panel. PCOS and hair loss. It's like there's so many causes, right? There's so many causes of hair loss that it's not like a one size fits all. Oh, you have hair loss, you must not have blood flow. Some people have plenty of blood flow and they don't have the nutrition. there's a lot of overweight, undernourished people in our country these days. And so you cannot have enough iron or not have enough nutrition, not be getting enough protein. Don't get me started. That doesn't mean go out and eat a bunch of protein, because it will hinder autophagy. We've been down that road before. But there's a lot of different things like that, a lot of component parts that get to the root cause of what's causing hair loss. And so I, over the years, have gotten to my root cause. Oh my God, Christina just joined. Christina, I'm doing my live show without any hair extensions. Low iron, Angela just said that. Low iron. I've been diagnosed with low iron. And Angela just said, low iron, I think it was a cup for me. Cooking and cast iron has really helped. I switched to cooking with cast iron. So I don't take iron every day, but when I first found out that I was low iron and the doctor said, I'm like, well, I don't eat a ton of meat, and so maybe that's why. And he said, it doesn't matter. You need to have iron to grow hair. Now, too much iron is going to be toxic, right? So it's this fine balance of what we have to do, right? Are we on hormone replacement therapy, women? Because that will completely, have you lose weight. How's your thyroid doing? There's a lot of different stuff that's going on. With male pattern baldness, that is, when, like, if you look at, it's not really like look at your mom's dad and see if you're going to lose hair or not, but the receptors, those androgen receptors that cause male pattern baldness when testosterone gets converted to DHT, that is the issue, because we could be, our testosterone could be completely level, or we could be on testosterone hormone replacement therapy, which I am on. I'll show you it right now. This is my testosterone. This is my DHEA. I've got, I don't know where my estrogen and progesterone are. They're around here somewhere. But it's like a fine balance, because for those men who were on testosterone, if your testosterone is being more easily converted to DHT, DHT hinders hair growth. It will actually make your hair fall out. So more stuff, more testosterone, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. So DHT is made, it's converted from testosterone, and that changes as you age. So the amount of DHT that gets converted from testosterone changes with age. You'll make more DHT. Both men and women will make more DHT converting testosterone as we get older, which is not great for your hair. Okay, so DHT binds to the androgen receptors. So most people, when they look at their mother's mother, you can see if your mother's mother had pattern baldness at all, and you can kind of get an idea of where those androgen receptors would be, and if you are somebody that has that kind of hair loss. So like I said, as you get older, more testosterone is converted to DHT. Androgen dependent alopecia, that's male pattern baldness. It happens in women too. Now they're calling it pattern baldness because they weren't paying attention to women who lost their hair in a pattern. How devastating is that? To lose your hair in a pattern and it be called male pattern baldness. It makes me kind of mad. So where are those androgen receptors, and are you a candidate for other things like finasteride that they put men on to decrease DHT? Finasteride orally can decrease DHT. Can decrease DHT, and there's a 90% reduction in hair loss with people that are on this prescription. I'm going to get to it in a second. Another thing when we're talking about hormones is you've got to get a full thyroid panel. If you are having hair loss, go and get a full thyroid panel. And I don't mean have somebody test your TSH. It's antiquated. If any doctor, if you're going in saying, I need my thyroid checked because I'm experiencing hair loss, I'm already on estrogen, testosterone, all of that stuff, but I'm experiencing hair loss, what's going on with my thyroid? If they do a TSH test and that's it, change your doctor. That doctor is living in the past That is not the way they're doing a comprehensive thyroid panel these days. So you need TSH, T3, free T3, T4, reverse T3, Hashimoto's, all of those antibodies, right? You need all of that. You need a complete thyroid panel to rule out if your thyroid is part of it. You guys, I have hypothyroidism. That was part of my hair loss, was the fact that my thyroid, I was always freezing. My hands and feet were always cold. And I went in to get my thyroid checked for years, 2 years. This was, again, I want to say 15 years ago, 17 years ago. And I kept saying, something's wrong with my thyroid. I'm a very thin person. So the doctor was like, you don't look like you have hypothyroidism. And I said, I know, but everybody in my family does. And I don't feel right. I feel like my hands and feet are cold. I'm tired. It's hard to get up in the morning. And so I started on some Armour thyroid. Now, they put me on too much of it. And then that caused hair loss. So if you're hyperthyroid, hair loss. If you're hypothyroid, hair loss. There has to be like this little, that's why you always have to go in for blood work, you guys, especially when you're talking about thyroid. It's too much is going to cause hair loss. Too little is going to cause hair loss. Too much thyroid medication causes very, very, very dry, brittle hair. I cannot tell you how many years I struggled with. My thyroid felt fine. I felt like, oh, I can get up in the morning again and my hands and feet aren't freezing. And they gave me too much of it and my hair turned to straw. Literally straw. Okay, wait, mine too. I have Hashimoto's. That's what it, yes. Hashimoto's and hormone replacement therapy threw off the thyroid, readjusted, and I'm back on track. But did you lose hair in the process? Because man, little tweaks like this, you guys, all of a sudden, your hair starts falling. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, get a full thyroid panel. Okay. Moving on. Let's talk about blood flow. That was a lot of my problem, was the blood flow. I have a very tight scalp, you guys. When people talk about doing scalp massages, and this is something that I have told many of my clients about who come to me for hair loss, and a lot of times people don't necessarily come to me for hair loss. They'll come to me for skin, or they want to lose weight, or they don't feel good, or they can't get up in the morning, all of this stuff. And then we whittle it down to figure out what is going on. And I always start with hormones, because hormones are so related to your hair and to your general feeling, your overall health, right? So when our hormones start dipping, it's not just estrogen that tanks during perimenopause. Your thyroid tanks as well. So you've got to get in and make sure that that is being supported as well. So blood flow. This has been my big issue. A long time ago, my God, I've had so many different kinds of treatments, but a long time ago, a hairdresser, I only remember his first name, Sean. I'll only say his first name, Sean. But he said, we have to decongest this. We have to move this around and get more blood flow in there. This is right before I started with red light therapy. You guys, I've been doing red light therapy for my hair, for my skin, the panels for over a decade. I know it seems like new technology is not new technology for me. I've been doing this for a long, long time, which is why I came out with my mask in the first place. I was tired of making men, who usually own the red light therapy mask companies, a lot of money by plugging and telling people about the technology behind that. But that is a big part of hair growth. You have got to have a good blood supply. So there's a couple different ways that you can increase the blood supply. One is red light therapy. This is the iRestore. This is a combination of red and laser. So it's a combination of red light and laser. You literally wear it for 12 minutes a day. Let's see if I can get it to go on. Every time you remove it from your head, it turns off because they don't want to blind you when you're like looking at it. But I wear this for about 12 minutes a day. And I don't do it every single day because I do the big, you guys know, in that little alcove, I've got the big red light therapy panels. So I use that You can get wooden scalp gua sha too. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. I want to look into that. I'm going to tell you how I've been coaching my clients through the circulation part of it. One is red light therapy. I always say red light therapy first because it is a vasodilator and it will increase blood flow to the area. Okay, so this is a great contraption. If you cannot afford something like this, you guys, when I finish this live show and I post this to my main feed, just comment the word hair loss. And I'll have that in the caption, not here, but comment the word hair loss. You'll get a link to all of the stuff that I'm talking about today, okay? To increase blood flow, I had cold hands and I was always cold. Yeah, that already is an indication. There's no way I'm going to be able to say your handle, but that's already an indication to me. If your hands and feet are always cold, I would look at your thyroid. I would look at your thyroid for sure. But this is a great device. Like I said, it combines red light and laser, so it really increases the blood flow to the area, but that's what it's doing. It's increasing blood flow to the area. Like I said, you can take a zillion handfuls of a hair vitamin, but if you don't have the blood flow to get it to where you want it to go, that's not going to do anything but tax your kidneys and have very expensive urine. Okay, so the blood flow is super important. So one of those things, speaking of the gua sha, for craft's sake, I'll show you what I've been having my clients do, which is when I say scalp massage, I don't mean like, a little scalp massage. That's not what I mean. I mean, you got to get in there and press down hard where the fascia is. Everybody can do this while you're sitting here watching me. Where the fascia is, and you want to move. See the difference? I'm not going like this. I'm moving the scalp back and forth, back and forth. And that's what that one hairdresser was trying to do with me for all those years. But what I found was that whatever products he was using on my hair is super fine, and it literally just broke my hair off. My scalp was very healthy, but my hair was not. And there's a lot of stuff that we can use on the scalp that will completely dry your hair out. And I'm gonna get over there. Yes, it feels good. So think about what we're doing here. When we're stimulating the fascia, when we're moving that fascia around, we're kind of creating more space between the blood flow and the follicle, so that you're kind of decreasing that fascia, that tension in the fascia. And you do this every single day. Better to do it when flipped upside down. So I always tell my clients, flip upside down and then get into your scalp and move the scalp around. So you got to press pretty hard down on your scalp, and you're shifting your whole scalp back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Let me get over to that in my lecture. But that is one of the ways with red light therapy. So red light therapy for sure. Scalp manipulation, so fascia manipulation. Another way to do this, and I know this is probably not the mainstream thing that you would think about, but we're on the subject of fascia, is Botox in the scalp. Now think about what this could be. Botox in the scalp releases the tension of the fascia. I don't do Botox in the scalp because there's multiple things that are already working for me. I'm just going to give you all the options in terms of increasing the blood flow to the hair follicle where we need it. Part of that is that manipulation of the fascia. Botox in the scalp has shown that it releases that tension in the fascia, makes your hair grow because it's increasing the blood supply. Okay, so that's another way to do it. And then the third way that well, there's multiple ways, but the third way that I do, that I increase the blood flow is through oral minoxidil. Now, a lot of people have heard of Rogaine. That was the topical minoxidil that was put into the hair for so long. You know, you could find that at Costco, blah, blah, blah. Like you would just put the minoxidil here, the Rogaine, and rub it into the scalp. That I hated. And I did that for years too, and I hated it because my hair is so fine. Every time I rubbed that in, I felt like the next day I had to wash my hair. We are mama poison the head, and when you massage your head, you increase blood flow as well. I love that for craft's sake. I love that. Okay, so minoxidil, what this does, it's a vasodilator. Used for multiple different things, but it's a vasodilator. It's a prescription. You can apply it topically. It does somewhat get into your system topically, but they have found that by taking it orally, it is way better and way more effective. And everybody that I have shined a light and said like, hey, maybe try this if you're dealing with circulation. The side effect for this is that it slightly decreases your blood pressure. I mean, most of us, the majority of us, probably need a little bit of blood pressure reduction. I've been taking minoxidil for a month. I lost so much hair with it. You lost hair with minoxidil? That's so interesting. That's really interesting. How much? I want to know how much they put you on. Normally, it starts with like a 2.5 milligram once a day. It's a 2.5 once a day. You can go up to 5 milligrams a day. I am currently on 5 milligrams a day, and that's because my circulation to my scalp, I have very tight fascia in my head. Oh my God, that is, I've never heard that before. That's not even listed as one of the side effects for minoxidil. I'll tell you what it does. Okay, so, hold on. It helps by delivering oxygen and nutrients to the scalp. So that's very interesting that your hair fell out with it. The downside of that is it does grow hair everywhere. So it's not going to grow hair on, you're not going to end up like this. But you will end up with some like peach fuzz that might need to be shaved off. And for me, because it's the number one thing that has really helped with my hair, I don't mind the peach fuzz. It's not a big deal. The side effects include, and none of this is hair loss, which is so interesting, headaches, swelling of the ankles. So you have increases in prolactin, which is the antagonist of dopamine. So it could affect motivation, energy, drive. You need to start with the lowest possible dose. And so for the oral pill, it can start as low as 0.25, not 2.5, but 0.25. This is a 2.5. 0.25 to 5. So I wonder if you were on too much of it or they started you out too high of a dose. I'm not really sure. But you can start as low as 0.25. And I always say start there. Start at the minimal amount of dose that you can. And if you're doing it topically, 5% concentration is what you're wanting 2 times a day. It can go into your bloodstream. It can be systemic. I read that it's called shedding phase. I've heard of that, T gallons. I've heard of that with a shedding phase with the iRestore. People that start this, they will have a shedding phase with this. I haven't heard of that with minoxidil, and I'm going to look into that. So thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. But I didn't have a shedding phase personally, and I haven't heard of that at all with minoxidil. But so I want to look into that for sure. Like I said, scalp massage, so we're still talking about blood flow, scalp massage and Botox. You can get this, you guys, a prescription of this, and let me see if I can get my husband's thing. I use a prescription from my dermatologist because I'm at my dermatologist a lot. So I'm just like, hey, can you fill this? So I get a 2.5 2 times a day. This is my husband's. He doesn't really use it that much because he uses the one that comes in the mail, and I'm going to show you. It was just a way for me to show you because mine is clear. But this is a typical prescription for minoxidil. And then let me see if he's got his one that goes in the mail. So hold on 1 second. For those of you who don't want to go to the dermatologist, you're like, forget it. I get my moles checked once a month and that's it. I don't want to do it. You can get it in the mail. This is hims.com. This has a combination of finasteride, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and minoxidil and biotin, B5, there's a lot going on in here. See, there's a lot. It's chewable or swallowable. And this is, literally it's chewable. This is once a day. Now, you can go to For Hers, so it's not him, somebody must have had that website, but forhers.com. You answer a couple of online questions, literally, because you need a prescription. So you answer a couple of things online, and you get it in the mail. So my cousin's on it. My cousin, many of you guys know, lost her son a year and a half ago for diabetes, her adult son. And she lost so much hair, just devastating, but big bald spots. And she is now on forhers.com, and all of it is growing back. She was at the retreat, and she's like, this is not my hair. She said, it doesn't feel like my hair. The texture, the density, all of it doesn't feel like my hair. And I would say the same thing. For the last 17 years, this has not been my hair. This has not been my hair. This is from red light therapy. This is from massage. This is from oral minoxidil. It's from taking out the traction, the heaviness of my extensions, and shifting more towards, I want to just put this on for you guys. It's so easy to do, but shifting more towards a halo that is not causing weight, because you can have traction alopecia. And I'm done with it. I'm done with it. So I wear my hair up a lot. I wear my hair in ponytails a lot, but I'm not doing anything that's really going to add weight on each strand of my hair. So that's a big thing. Another thing that they're doing is Cialis. Yes. You're thinking of the same thing. The little blue pill, the thing that helps men with erectile dysfunction at a very low dose, a 2.5 to 5 milligram low dose, increases blood flow to the scalp and increases blood flow to that. Like I said, it's all about those stem cells. It increases blood flow to the stem cell population. So not only men are you like getting, having better sex, but it is helping with a little bit of blood flow to the scalp as well. And that is now being prescribed. Oh, wait on this. Can you show us how you use the hair? Oh, yeah, I can do that. I wasn't planning on doing this, you guys. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to do it. I don't think I have my little, oh, here. So easy to do, you guys. And this is what I've been using. Literally, it just sits on the hair like that. Look, it's kind of like, I'm going to show you the back. Look, it sits on the hair like that. Then you can take like a little pick comb and you just pull your hair over the top of it. Hold on. Let me show you. Take a brush. I want to be very careful. I mean, how fabulous is that? Honestly. And there's no weight on my hair. Zero weight. So you can run your fingers through it. You can ponytail it. You can do anything. It's real hair. It's very light. And it's literally resting on my head. The reason why I couldn't do this before, I know, wow. Honestly, it's so easy. Like, I don't have to do a lot to my hair. I'll take this, now this is all me, right? This is all me up here. So I'll do this part of my hair. I can even pull a little bit more out. I'll do the top part of my hair and leave the bottom and not do it. And it takes me 5 minutes to get out of the house when I'm using this. Yeah, it's all about like getting the right color, making sure it's real hair. This has really I'll show you what I used to use. Clips. And this was a big step up from the tape-ins. So I started with the little things, right? The little metal things they would squeeze in just in the very back. And over the years, divorce, I mean, you name it, right? All of the big stressors, divorce, moving homes 3 times, a lot of it. And then my kid not being in a good place, like all of that adds a lot of stress. And over the years, it graduated to then the tape-ins, and I had the tape-ins for, God, 17 years, a long time. I had tape-ins for a long time. And then I'm like, I have got to like, listening to you and watching you. Thanks, Anna. Thank you so much, you guys. This is, honestly, this is the hardest live I've done because it's so, you guys know, if you've lost hair, it's devastating. And I thought like, you know, somebody else out there is struggling with this. Somebody's struggling, and it shouldn't be to where you can never wear your hair down again, or you can never, you know, you're worried about like your scalp showing. That's so traumatizing for a woman. And call me vain, but Jesus Christ, I want to keep my hair, you know? So I graduated from the tape-ins, which every time I get it done every single month, and every time she'd take them out, and I'd look at the tape, I'd look at them as they're like going across, and I'm like, fuck, is that all my hair that's like taped to that? And she's like, no, just remember that when you're doing a tape-in, your hair is still shedding, but it's trapped in the tape. And so when you take them out, you're gonna have more shedding because you're not losing that normal hair that you would do. Bullshit. I'm sorry, but there is no way that you can add weight to fragile hair and have it not pull and have it not disrupt the whole normal growth cycle. That is my purpose in life, honestly. It's like, how many people can I help? Like, I've been going through shit for a long time, you guys, and at 57 years old, I've been in the health and wellness field, I swear to you, since I came out of the womb. I just have. I've always been in it. But I graduated, let me just get back to that. I graduated from the tape-ins, and I just decided no more. So let me make sure I can get this all out. Sometimes if you don't get all of the hair on the other side of it, then it's not so good. Okay, so I graduated from the tape-ins to the clips. So whenever you guys saw me in the last year and a half on camera, yeah, I want to say year and a half ago, I took the tape-ins off and went to clips, because at night, guess what happens? I get to take all of it out and let my hair just be normal and healthy and have no weight on it. So it was limiting the amount of time that I was having that traction by switching to the clip-ins. I could not wear this halo before until recently. And the reason is because I didn't have enough density in the top to not make it noticeable. That's losing a lot of hair. If you've got not enough density in the top to where it's not puffing up and you can see that string, that's a lot of hair loss. That's a lot of hair loss. And I've just now, I want to say a month ago, less than a month ago, got this piece, and I thought, like, I want to try this and see if I can get rid of all of those hooks and just have something that's not weighing on my actual strands. I remember when you said in the past that we look better and go out into the world and go, yeah, that's great. It's true. So I'm just gonna read it. I remember when you said in the past, when you look better, we're more likely to go out into the world and go do good and hard things. It's true. When you look better, when you feel good about what you look like in the mirror, you guys, you're less likely to plop your ass down on the couch with a bag of Doritos and binge watch Netflix, right? You're more likely, like you just said, get out there in the world. I can tell you who makes this, you guys. I'm trying to reach out to them because I knew I was going to get questions. I knew I was going to get questions on this. I really like this brand. This is the brand, or it's Halo Couture. That's what these, and this is a 16 inch. I'm thinking about getting a 14 inch, just because I want it to like blend a little bit more in the back, but also because this is a little bit long, it's a little bit long, but this is it. You can just Google that, Halo Couture. I am going to try to get you guys a link for a discount. I don't think I can get it done in this automation. So that's online. You get it online, Janet. So when I post this to my main feed, you guys, just comment the word hair loss. You won't get this, but you'll get a lot of other stuff. So you'll get the collagen, because collagen helps with hair growth, you guys. So this is my favorite collagen. This is beauty. This reduces wrinkles from the inside out, supports strong hair and nails, and supports skin collagen content. I'll get you a link to this too. Again, it will all come in that automation when you say hair loss. Primadine. Primadine promotes autophagy. So autophagy is when you have those damaged proteins and it picks it apart for those good ones and throws out the rest. So Primadine, the link for that is going to be in here. This, they are also, because it works with the stem cells, it's also stimulating melanocytes. So that's why some people, when they're on this, are getting their hair color back. They're getting rid of the damaged cells in here, and by getting rid of those damaged cells, it makes room for good things to happen. So that's Primadine. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I did want to talk about finasteride. Finasteride, listen, it can be for both men and women, and it's an oral pill in the Hims. It's within that formula. You'll also get a link to hers.com, you guys, for hers.com. That will be in that automation. Everything that I'm speaking about, if I don't have a link to it, like I don't have a link to this, I'll tell you, but everything else is going to come in that automation after I post it to my feed and after you comment the word hair loss. Kathleen says, after 37 years, I got divorced this past December. Oh, I'm sorry. I've had lots of loss in the past 2 months. I've noticed loss. Hair loss happens 4 to 6 months, in my case, after. Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me. For me, Kathleen, it's I want to say 3 months later, because everybody's phase, when you're in that resting phase, the resting phase is different for everybody, right? So it's not like, oh, it rests for 3 months and then it falls out. Everybody's resting phase is different. And my resting phase is that when I have high stress, I look 3 months earlier. When I have high hair loss, I look 3 months earlier. Because that to me, I already know my timing. That to me is like, oh, fuck, here we go. That's what caused that. Yeah. Your body doesn't lie, right? There's things that happen, especially with stress. But you can get on a low dose of finasteride. Again, I said it was in here. That if you've got any of that, if you look at your mother's mother and you see, does she thin more on the top and on the sides like a male pattern baldness would normally do? And if that's the case, a combination of minoxidil and finasteride might be great. You don't have to get it from hers.com. You can get it from Hims, just Hims. You don't have to get it from For Hers, I meant. But that link is going to be coming. Do you stock Primadine? This is not by me. This was by Oxford Health Span. And they actually sponsored the Live Young Healthy Aging Retreat because I've been taking this for a long time. I don't have one gray hair yet, knock on wood. Not that that's bad, but I don't have gray hair. And I really do believe it's because of this. Because with all accounts, with how stressful my life has been in the last couple of years, I've gone completely white. I should have been no color. But I've been taking this for a couple of years, and I do believe that it is keeping the grays at bay, if you will. Okay, let me just keep going. I want to make sure I get to everything. Yeah, it brings us, so 90%, let me just talk about finasteride a little bit more. 90% of people found with finasteride, which is normally a medication for men's prostate, normal people have been seeing a 90%. It can increase hair loss by 20%, decrease hair loss by 20% in 90% of people. That's what it is. Decrease hair loss by 20% in 90% of people. And that is because it reduces the DHT. So remember when I said testosterone, when we get older, gets converted to DHT, and testosterone is great for the hair. DHT is not good for the hair. So DHT, what finasteride does is that it decreases, it reduces the DHT conversion. So that hair you will end up keeping a lot longer. Now, there's a lot of scientists out there that says that minoxidil and finasteride and all of that stuff just help you keep the hair longer. I did not find that to be true. Minoxidil grew my hair. Nobody can tell me any differently. There was a very big difference, not just in me not losing hair, but in 3 months with oral minoxidil, I had literally different hair. And my cousin, who has gone through the biggest stress of her entire life, she said the same thing. My sister, who's on it, said the same thing. This isn't my hair anymore. It isn't my hair. My husband's hair is so freaking thick because he takes a little bit of finasteride and he takes oral minoxidil. So I don't believe that it's just like, oh, it will stop your hair from falling. I think that in the autophagy of everything and in the blood flow supply of everything, you can regenerate those stem cells. You can regenerate that stem cell population to make another hair. And that is there's no way that is not happening with me. So they might not have the trials of that yet, or they might not have, any of those studies that show the hair growth yet, but it is happening, my friends. It is happening, and thank God. Okay, that brings me to the oral part of finasteride. You can rub in, like you can Rogaine, minoxidil, you can rub it in topically. A little bit would probably get into your system. It's just easier to dose the oral. It's easier to dose the oral. But if you're looking for a topical solution, you don't want to take an oral, and you've got those androgen receptors, like that, I've got thinner in here, you're going to look for a 1% topical solution of finasteride, okay? Which brings me to in-office treatments. Microneedling. You guys, I've been talking about microneedling for so long. And OneSkin, this is in that automation, you guys, when you comment the word hair loss, this has been a game changer as well. So if we think about when we take stuff orally, spermidine, primidine, that's what is in here, promotes autophagy. OneSkin, this is a OneSkin OS01 hair with a microneedling. It came with a refill too. So this is literally getting rid of those damaged, like senescent cells, zombie cells, and it's making way for the good. So you do a droplet of this. There's a lot of research on hair loss. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it right over the top of my thing. See, you guys can you see it? Can you see where the halo string is? Anybody? It's hard to find when your hair is, now I've got a little puff in my hair. So anyways, I'm doing a droplet of this, and then this is an OS01 peptide. It's in the same thing as the best body lotion in the world, you guys. This will also, it'll be in the link, so don't worry about it. Just after I post it, comment the word hair loss. You'll get the OneSkin peptide for your hair as well. Take a microneedling tool and roll it in. Now you can stamp it. I tend to like to stamp, because my hair is so fragile, I don't want to roll things over the top of it, because what if it cuts my hair off? So that's how protective I am of my hair. So I stamp this. You can also use a stamper instead of the roller. But stamping your hair, just the microneedling alone, will promote a lot of really good things to happen. Blood flow, and then not only that, but when you're pressing this in, you're getting this product in deeper to your scalp. So whether you're using things like an oral finasteride or an oral minoxidil, let me say that again. If you're using things like a topical finasteride or a topical minoxidil or a topical peptide that helps with senescent cells, you can always use a microneedling tool and microneedle that into the scalp for better absorption, right? So it doesn't only have to be a peptide that helps with zombie cells and senescent cells. It can be your topical stuff that you want to get in there as well. Okay, so microneedling, roller, stamp, pen, whatever you want to use, it reactivates those stem cells, you guys. So that's what they're finding microneedling does. It reactivates those stem cells. So It causes you to grow another piece of hair. So let's see. It reactivates those stem cells that are in the telogen phase and can put them back in the anagen phase. Remember, the anagen phase is that first phase that grows, right? It's really good in combining that with a lot of different stuff. So I wouldn't just do, like, let's just take an example. If you wanted to tone up, you wouldn't only lift weights, right? You'd lift weights, you'd look at your diet, you'd look at your movement throughout the day. You wouldn't only do one thing. Oh, I want to lose weight. I'm just going to go to the gym. Good luck. That's not going to happen because you have to look at multiple things. So when we're talking about hair, there's multiple causes. There should be multiple treatments. And I get it if you're like a scientist and you want to be like, you know what, I'm going to try one thing at a time. Because that's how you'll get to the root cause of your hair loss. Try one thing at a time. For some of us that are in this crisis mode of our hair is dropping, we don't have freaking time. We don't have time to try one thing at a time to see what works, right? It's hard. We're in panic mode. Start with the microneedling. Start with bending over and getting that fascia release, right? We did this earlier where we really moved that fascia around the scalp. Do that. Get the red light therapy. If you can't afford the iRestore, again, it's in the automation after I post this, hair loss, it'll be there with the discount code. If you can't afford this, I'm not going to say sticking up my red light therapy mask will do the same because this is a combination of red light and laser, so it's going to go deeper. But red light alone can increase circulation and cause hair growth. So if your issue is the circulation, then you can use any red light therapy device. Do you use OneSkin if you color your hair? If you strip the color out of the hair, this happens to me as soon as I started using it. It started stripping your color out of your hair when you started using it. I've never heard of that before. I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. If it's getting rid of old damaged cells, proteins, and yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. I've never heard of that before, and I haven't noticed that. I don't use a lot of. I don't want to say I don't use a lot of color, but I don't use any bleach on my hair, so I stopped. It turned it red, dirty, Sasha. I want to know about that. If you could send me a picture in DM, I would love to see it. And you were using this with the microneedling thing, right? Is your hair naturally red? Send me, I want to talk to you about this afterwards. And just DM me, I'm very curious about that. It was an ugly red. Oh, I've never seen ugly red in hair. I love red hair, but I want to see. Just send it to me privately, okay? Okay, so that I'm telling you with the microneedling. And if you don't want to use this, if this is what you think is turning your hair red, dirty salsa, microneedling alone, that is not gonna do anything but stimulate those stem cells to producing more hair. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. I actually like this stamp. I didn't bring the stamp out of my other room here, but stamp this, and I would stamp this instead of rolling this if you've got super, super fragile hair. And you can go up to 1 millimeter to 2.5 millimeters deep on your scalp. And that's where they're finding the research where it's reactivating those stem cells that are in the telogen phase, and it can put them back in the anagen phase, which is that growth phase. So it can literally reverse, the hair is like about to like rest, it's almost done, it's like dying. Microneedling, it stimulates those stem cells and kicks it back into that growth phase again. Honestly, I know. There's the research backs that up. Okay, so it wakes up the stem cells and reminds them that they have a job to do. Don't be lazy. It tells the stem cells, don't be lazy. Will you change the needles on the stamper often? I change the stamper often. So the one that is a stamper, it depends on how often I'm using it, but like every 6 months, if I'm, just based on my use, I want to say you would change a stamper like after 10 uses, 5 to 10 uses, depending on the quality of that stamper. I have the Dr. Penn stamper. not sure who's home. But yes, you don't want to, this doesn't last forever, you guys. The needles get dull, okay? Spray this down with alcohol after every single use. Let it dry, spray it with alcohol again before, let it dry, and then you use it, okay? But that's what it does. It's waking up those stem cells. Okay. Here's the problem with that. If you scar, if you go too deep with your microneedling and you create like a scar, very difficult for hair to grow over the top of a scar, okay? And then on your scalp at the same time, I see some girls hanging their head off the edge of the, yes, listen, inversions are good. You can do a headstand, you can do a handstand. If you can just bend down, right? If you just put your head below your knees or below your heart, you're already increasing blood flow to that area, right? Does that make sense? My husband just came on and he's going to be like, wait a second, she's wearing her hair. Jonathan, I did this whole first part of the live without any extensions in. People asked me to put this in. They wanted to see what it looked like. So just so he's going to call me, what happened? You chickened out. No, I did not. I went for it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about with the microneedling. You can do too much. You can scar. And if you scar, if it creates a big scar, if you're just hammering it in there, you're going to mess your hair up. So don't do that. You saw how I did it. I went down that line and I would then part my hair, put a little strip in again and press, okay? Legs up the wall. That is I literally almost said that a few seconds ago. Legs up the wall. I can't tell you how many times I do legs up the wall. Every single night when I'm watching TV, my legs are not up the wall, but like on the top of the couch. That it's great for blood flow. Again, bend over, get in the fascia, break the fascia up because you want blood flow. You want that to break up so that you can get the blood flow in there. Again, we talked about Botox on the scalp. It's not something that I've done, but I know a lot of people that have. So again, with the microneedling, you're wanting micro traumas, right? If you have a retinal issue with your eyes, you cannot invert. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so that's so interesting. Yeah, I've heard of that. Like you don't want those big movements. Put your feet up the wall and just lay down. Or I actually have a bench outside where I'll go and do my sound therapy outside where I've got these wind chimes that are like in the low megahertz registry that's so calming. And my bench, because my hill is a little bit on a decline, I put my head here. So I can be laying totally flat, but my head is just a little bit down below. That's helping with circulation. Okay, we're moving on. So like I said, 1 millimeter to 2.5. I don't know how big this one is, but this feels like about, I've been doing this for so long, I can kind of guess. This feels like about a 0.5, to be honest with you. It doesn't feel like it's any more than that. I would go bigger than that. This came with the One Skin peptide for senescent cells. Interesting that you can put on something that helps with senescent cells topically. You can also take orally something that helps with senescent cells, and both of them cause your hair to grow. I love it. Okay, like I said, multiple treatments, right? Multiple treatments. You wouldn't just treat crow's feet with Botox. You use retinoids, you use like an eye cream, like you microneedle, like there's multiple treatments. That's how you're going to get the best results. Don't just try one thing. Try it strategically. Don't go all, if you're going to do the oral prescriptions, just start on the lowest dose and be patient. How do you use the stamper on the scalp? Just like I did with the roller. That's a great question. Just like I did with the roller, you would stamp, as opposed to rolling, right? So I feel like when I roll this, I'm worried that it's going to literally sever my hair shaft, just chop it, because my hair is so thin. And I don't want to leave any sort of anything that would damage the hair shaft, because when that grows out, you're going to be more likely to have split ends and stuff like that. You could do it a couple times a week. I stamp my head a couple times a week. I wonder if I have my stamper here. Hold on 1 second, you guys. I know this is running long, but that's okay. No, I don't have my stamper. what I normally use, but it's in my other, I have a vanity in the other room where I film a lot of times and it's over there. Hoping supplements bring back my dark color. Yeah, it really could. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk about some other stuff because I talked about this a little bit earlier, but this has biotin in it, has a lot of different stuff in it that's great for your hair. Because why? Because if I'm going to come up with a multi, I'm going to have it help with hair as well. Right? Because it's my issue. I also came up with the hair, skin, and nails, which is a collagen generator. So you've got your collagen that helps with hair, skin, and nails, but then this nourishes and tickles those cells that are responsible for making collagen in the first place. Both great for your hair. Foundational health always is your first spot. So like I told you guys, if you're having hair loss, immediately go out and get a prenatal vitamin. If you don't have this in your cupboard or this is too expensive, go get a prenatal vitamin because at least you're going to cover all of those bases with the biotin and the folate and all of that stuff and the iron, right? Iron is super important for hair growth, but it's like one of those things. You do too much, your hair is you're going to get toxic. You do too little, it's not going to create hair growth. We talked about earlier switching to like those cast iron pans. I'm cooking a lot more in cast iron pans so that I'm not taking this all the time. I maybe take this once a week now. I used to take it every day, but I'm making those lifestyle changes so that I don't have all this stuff going on at the same time. Okay, there's a lot of other stuff that they can do in the office, PRP injections. And you guys, PRP is when they take your blood, spin it in a centrifuge, and then inject it into your scalp, and it hurts like I'm not kidding. Like, yeah, for craft's sake, why not prenatal vitamins for over 50? Yes. Why can't you take a vitamin that has all of the stuff in it that is necessary to grow a fetus, but it's also good for you and good for hair growth? Why not? That's a way to save money, you guys, and cover all your bases. It just covers all. Hope you don't mind sharing your knowledge, but for those struggling with gray hair, please loop us. Leslie's New Prime. It is the Leslie's New Prime. This is going to be in the, I don't know the YouTube channel, but you guys can look at Leslie's New Prime on her YouTube channel. She has a channel that's dedicated to reversing gray hair. Thank you so much for that. And preserving your natural color. This helps preserve your natural color and helps to reverse gray hair. Why it does it? We don't really know, other than it does stimulate through that process of autophagy. It stimulates the melanocytes, starts them to produce the color again and puts it into the shaft, right? Okay. PRP injections, like I was telling you, I don't suggest it, you guys. It's expensive. I don't think it worked for shit. And it hurts. Especially if you've got a tight scalp. Think about this. They're putting multiple. So if you did Botox in your scalp to release that fascia and try to increase blood flow that way, you're looking at, a few, there's probably a lot of Botox needles that you're having to do. The other thing that they do is they'll put that PRP in, and I have seen massive hair loss from the PRP creating too much space within that whole fascia and creating too much space, and the hair literally just falls. So you have to be super careful when you're doing stuff like PRP injections. You have to go to somebody who's been doing it a very long time. They understand your scalp and what is the best amount, because more is not more. More can make your hair fall out, and I've seen it. When I did it, I've done PRP to the scalp. It's on my YouTube channel as well. Probably 3 or 4, maybe 3 or 4 times. I noticed no difference at all. It was painful. I didn't notice any difference at all. And if you think about what it's doing, it's literally helping nutrients. So just think about what it's doing. The act of the needle alone is helping to stimulate stem cells. The act of the needle alone is helping to, so injections, the needle alone is helping to stimulate stem cells. Then you're taking your blood, spinning it, getting those platelet-rich plasma, which is a more condensed nutrients that are running around in your blood. And then you're injecting it to what? To try to get nutrients in here? To try to get, I didn't see any results with it. I really didn't. So it's something that I don't suggest. I suggest microneedling and saving your money and not doing that whole route. It's about the main thing when it comes to nutrients in the scalp is the blood flow. If your diet is already good, if you are already taking, a prenatal vitamin or a healthy aging vitamin like this, if you're already taking a hair, skin, and nails, a collagen generator, you already have this stuff racing through your blood, right? If you can just get it to the place where it needs to go, you don't need to inject them in. And if you can get it in the place that it needs to go, you're going to have a lot better result than once every 6 weeks going in for these injections. So and it's expensive. I don't recommend PRP injections at all. I've never met anybody, and there might be somebody out there that said, oh my God, I had like the best result, all my hair started growing back. I wonder if it's from the platelet-rich plasma or it's from the needles itself going in. And if you can do the needles yourself at home, why spend the money to go get your blood spun and shoved back in your hair, right? Does that make sense, you guys? What about the Fotona Hair Start Laser for hair growth? I don't know what that is. I've been sent a lot of different stuff, you guys. This to me, if you're looking at a device, literally a device, there's nothing better on the market than this. I want to look into that. Indy, if you can send me a text later, because I won't be able to go back over these. I won't be able to go back over these comments, but if you can send me a DM later and just give me that name again, because there's too many things running around my brain right now. I know I'm gonna space that, but to my knowledge, this is the most powerful device on the market today. This is the most powerful device. There's other people that make caps. It's not the same, you guys. It's because of the coverage. So nothing has the amount of coverage. Look how far down it goes. The back of my hair starts right here. So look how far down this goes. And then it's got extended sides, and you're not having to move it around. When you're having to move around a red light therapy device or a laser device, think about that all this isn't getting treated. All this isn't getting treated, right? You're treating here. It's not effective. It's not as effective, right? It's better if you can do the whole thing at one time, and it's proven. And this is proven. So this is my choice in terms of like a device at home, in addition to stamping with the microneedle. Okay, there's other stuff that's gonna come out too. Like I said, we already talked about Botox. People are doing a lot more Botox on the, oh, that's an in-office treatment. Okay, Indy, send me that. I wanna research that a little bit for sure. I've just found, honestly, with the invent of red light therapy devices at home, whether it's the panels or the caps or even my mask. I'll stick my mask on my head if I'm watching TV for sure. But with that, it's like I'm finding less and less stuff to go to the office for hair loss, except for, like I said, your thyroid that needs to be checked, your minoxidil, if you're doing an oral minoxidil, microneedling if you don't want a microneedle at home. I know that there's a lot of other stuff that are coming out, like ultrasound treatments and lasers and things like that. I always think of it like this. If you're going to spend $500 on a treatment to go into an office and do a treatment there, why would you not spend $1,000 on a helmet and you have the treatment for years and years and years and years and years? It's always better to do a little less of a treatment than what you might be able to find in an in-office, but do it freaking consistently. Unless you're made out of money, some of these in-office treatments, they're not sustainable, right? Unless you've got an Oscar in your closet or something else is going on, it's not sustainable to do that monthly for the majority of the population. So that's why it's like when you have an at-home tool that really works, to make an investment in that in the long run is going to save you a ton of money. A ton of money. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. So there's also herbal treatments. I don't want to go down the herbal treatment rabbit hole, but saw palmetto berry. It's not a magic pill. There are some side effects, but around 300 milligrams a day, divided into like 3 different, like 100 milligram, 100 milligram, 100 milligram. It's slightly effective in reducing that DHT. So if you've got those androgen receptors on your scalp for what they call male pattern baldness, it slightly is effective in reducing that testosterone being transferred, or you know what I'm saying, into DHT. But they need to. It's usually with a lot of other treatments that they're doing at the same time. Curcumin, turmeric, is an inhibitor of DHT, and in some people, it's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, all of that stuff. It's great, but I started thinking about this, and I did a little bit of research on, in India, there's so much turmeric that's used in food, right? It's their main spice. Great antioxidant, but is it really inhibiting DHT? Because if you look at the balding rate between Indian men and U.S. men who don't eat a lot of turmeric, Indian men tend to, and at younger ages, be more bald. So that doesn't make sense, right? If you would imagine if Indian people are eating turmeric every single day, they would have more hair, especially the men, because the testosterone is not being able to be converted to DHT, which is bad for your hair. But that's not what the statistics are saying. They're not saying that. So it's not something that I'm like really buying into. Caffeine, believe it or not. This is a good one. Caffeine, when you're looking at solutions that have to do with scalp stimulation, I don't have something offhand, but a lot of those have caffeine in them. And topical caffeine is a DHT, or it's a DPE inhibitor. So it indirectly stimulates IGF-1, which is one of those enzymes that increases duration of the anagen phase, that growth phase, by suppressing DHT. So basically, caffeine, in a roundabout way, suppresses DHT. Now, that's only going to be if you're on high doses of testosterone that's not converting because of age, or that is converting to DHT, which is harmful. Caffeine used on the scalp can help stimulate that and can help reduce the DHT. It also may help during the telogen phase and offset the death of the stem cell population. It's in the very early stages, okay? So if you're looking for a topical solution, caffeine is going to be great. PRP is great for alopecia. Shampoo is great. It contains caffeine. Amazing. PRP, now that's a really good point, Mila. I'm so glad you brought that up, because PRP, if you have alopecia, think of it as like scarring, like a slippery, like smooth baby's butt spot, or your whole thing, then I would say absolutely do PRP. Absolutely do PRP. Figure out a way to get that grown back. But to do it when you're having hair loss like me, or like just most age-related hair loss, and you don't have alopecia, which is like a loss of the hair completely, then it could backfire and cause hair loss. If you don't have the hair in the first place, it is a really good idea to do that. Vivisecal, that is literally a supplement that you take. If you don't have the blood flow, it's not going to get to where you want it to get, right? This is super important. You can have so many things. You can be the most healthiest person in the world. All this phytonutrients, all this vitamins and minerals racing through your blood. If it's not getting to your hair, it's not growing your hair. Okay? So you can name off 5, 10 different hair vitamins that have folate and biotin and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It has to get there first. Herbal treatments, saw palmetto to reduce DHT. That's what oh yeah, okay, good. Yay. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Sleep. Oh my God, you guys. If we are not sleeping at approximately, doesn't have to be exact, but approximately the same time every night, your body is not producing growth hormone the way that it should. And growth hormone is important for stem cells, right? So it's not like, it doesn't mean like, oh, you can give or take like 30 minutes here and there, but if you're going to sleep at 2 a.m. one day and 6 p.m. the next day and 1 a.m. the next day and 8 p.m. the next day, your body is not producing the growth factor that is necessary to keep your stem cells. Sleep is super important, and it's only in that first few hours of sleep, which is why if your hormones are not regulated because you're in perimenopause, get your hormones regulated, because if you're waking up, this is like how things get compounded, right? If you're waking up from hot flashes or an inability to fall asleep, an inability to stay asleep, night sweats that happen with perimenopause, you're fucking up you're messing up your growth factor, which occurs naturally in those first 2 hours when you doze off. Eat early, and then you have no excuses to sleep early. Eat early. You know, I've been doing intermittent fasting for 30 plus years, so my eating window is 1 to 8. And then I head upstairs so 2 hours before you head upstairs to bed, you should be done eating, right? So that's part of it. So there's a lot of stuff that happens, but sleep is super important for your hair. If you're sleeping at various times, you're not taking advantage of the powers of your own growth hormone. IGF-1, insulin growth factor 1, it increases, or growth hormone treatments. They have a risk. You have a risk that I'm not willing to take. Yeah, it's not a risk that I'm willing to take. You could take ipamorelin, or you can take growth factor from a hormone specialist, but you don't have any indication of the things that it might want to grow that are not healthy for you, mainly tumors and cancers and things like that. So we want to more safely rely on our own growth factor, our own growth factors, which we get when we sleep, okay? So I'm not willing to take that risk of doing any sort of growth hormone in office. I do know people that are on them. They look fantastic, but it's like you can't see in the body to see what's growing and what's not growing. And that life is too important. Life is way more important than looking great, you know? It is. And then another thing is controlling your insulin resistance. It's sugar, you guys. It is more deadly than we know, and it's more disruptive than we know. Insulin resistance is detrimental to hair growth. If you are obese, if you are in metabolic distress, if your fasting blood glucose level is over 90, you are damaging your hair with the sugar that you're eating. I know, but it's true. Berberine. Where is it? Oh, next minute. Berberine. This is the MetaHealth next level. This is berberine. Metformin also does the same thing, but berberine is a lot safer and you don't need a prescription for it. That's in the Live Young MetaHealth. Insulin resistance, like I said, is detrimental. Obesity and insulin resistance can lead to hair loss by the way of the IGF-1 increasing. Berberine reduces blood sugar level. So this reduces your blood sugar level, which we need. We need to control our blood sugar level in order to have healthy hair. Yeah, so this is all natural. It's made from tree bark. That's where berberine comes from. It's similar to metformin, but without the prescription. Is that all I have? Let's see. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, we talked about the iRestore. Remember, all of these things are going to be in the links after I post this to my main feed. It will be in the links with the prompt hair loss. Okay, so we talked about the iRestore laser. To me, this is the best one on the market. I'm not going to show you something that's not the best, and I'm not going to come up with a product that's not the best. So I'm a high achiever, you guys. I'm not going to show you like the second best one, even though they make one that's this is the professional device. They make ones that's the essential. If you're investing, you guys, in your hair, right? So I always say, like, find the best product and buy one of them, right? Don't buy something that half-asses the job that you're gonna have to replace. You're gonna waste your money. Make the investment. So this was, we talked about the iRestore hair laser. I do have a discount code for you guys, just full disclosure. I do make, I don't know, 20 bucks on this. It's not a lot of money. Anyways, so there's that. We talked about the OS01 peptide that does the senescent cell. I've been using this on my body for a while now, and it is magic. Same link. It will be in the same link, you guys. When you see the one skin, it'll be in the same link. This microneedling we talked about on the scalp. We talked about Primadine and autophagy and how that helps in, they've discovered in the melanocytes here in giving you back your natural color and staving off gray. But there's a lot of other stuff too. Oh, one thing I did not talk about. We talked about iron. And too much is toxic. Not enough, you're not going to grow hair. So you're looking at 25 milligrams to about 100 milligrams of iron. Add iron test. I have an iron test to your blood work, you guys. Next time you go to your blood work, say, I want to test my iron. If you're suffering from hair loss, test your iron. It's a very cheap thing to add on to your blood test, okay? And like I said, prenatal, biotin, iron, folate, they're all important. They're all in here. But they're all important. So worst case scenario, go get a prenatal vitamin. Okay, so some of the shampoos, and I know that Christina had touched on this a little bit ago with the rosemary oil. Anything that like gets you a little bit of that stinging, that little thing, that is all gonna help. But you have to think about too, what is it doing to the rest of your hair? You can't nourish the scalp in disservice to the actual hair, because your hair will break off. You'll have a super healthy scalp, but your hair will break off. And that's what happened to me when I tried this. When I tried ketoconazole. It's a shampoo. The main brand that does that is Nizoral. I don't know how to say it. Nizoral, sorry. It's a shampoo, it's an antifungal, so that works with this kind of the sebum stuff that could clog the pores, could clog the shaft, and then you have a drying off of stuff. And so that helps with that. It decreases dandruff. It actually reinforces the role of sebum, and it disrupts some of the fungal growth. But the side effect, dry, brittle hair. And I would say my hair turned to straw. And that broke my hair off and has had me start all over again. Nizoral, that's it. Had me start all over again on that path. Now, you can add some biotin shampoos to that, and they say that kind of helps to offset the side effects of Nizoral, but I will never use it again because it broke my hair off. So if you've got fine, fragile, dry hair in addition to hair loss, don't do it. Use more of a caffeine solution, or like Christina said earlier, I believe she said rosemary. There's a lot of different things that will tingle the scalp, and it's all helping. It's like it's kind of like using a chemical peel for your skin. Like there's tingling, there's stuff that's doing, that it's increasing collagen production. There's stuff that's doing when you're stimulating your scalp. You just have to be careful that you're not damaging your hair in the process or stripping your hair, because that's the last thing you want, right? Not only is your hair falling out, but it's breaking off too. Oh, my God. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about the hair, skin, and nails, collagen generator. We talked about the Primadine. We talked about this hormone replacement therapy, because if you're in perimenopause, which begins as early as your late 30s, and you're having hair loss and weight gain, night sweats, or anything like that, even just hair loss, go in and get your thyroid checked, go get your hormone panel done, right? Okay, and we talked about the hims.com, or I'm going to give you the link to the 4 Hers. Do you still microneedle at home? How often? What do you use? Oh my gosh, that's a whole other subject. I microneedle every Sunday. Yes, different body part. I come back around to the face after 4 to 6 weeks, back around to the arms, abdomen, knees. Everywhere you have skin, you can microneedle. Just like everywhere you have skin, that's where your products go. That's why, like, if you're doing vitamin C, let me see, if I'm doing a vitamin C product, that vitamin C is not only staying on my face, that's going on my entire body. Why? Because that's where my skin is. That's where my skin is. I don't know how I got on that subject. Okay, I think that's everything. I talked about your thyroid, super important, a full thyroid panel. We talked about minoxidil. We talked about hairs. I think I'm done. I talked about the hat. I showed you my extensions. That's it. That's all I got. Okay, everybody. I'm going to post this to my feed right now. I think I'm going through perimenopause. How old are you? If you think you are, I'm going to say you probably are. You probably are. It's not the end of the world. You just got to get into a doctor and get on hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to do a live show with Dr. Tina Segosha, who was at the Live Young Healthy Aging Retreat. And we have had several conversations about hormone replacement therapy. We had him at the retreat, but she's also been on a couple live shows that I've done. And I really want to talk. I want to sit down and do a talk with her on hormone replacement therapy and breast cancer. Because that was Christina, I miss you. Because there's a lot of people that aren't on hormone replacement therapy because of that fear of breast cancer. And what we have gotten really good at doing is treating breast cancer. And I know that that's not comfort to people who have breast cancer. But when you lose your hormones and your hormones start going down, and I cannot get off of here without saying this, because this is how important this is. When your hormones start diminishing, which I said starts as early as your late 30s. I'm 57. I'm postmenopausal. You will have to pry my hormone replacement therapy out of my cold, dead hands. I'm not joking. Unless they come up with something that says, oh, you have a indication and you shouldn't use this because of whatever. Right now, there's none of that. And they have pulled back all of those studies and debunked them. And hormones have been going through our system our entire lives, and estrogen receptors are everywhere. So that's why there's so many symptoms for perimenopause, because your estrogen receptors are everywhere. You're going to have hair loss. You could have dry skin. You could have a menopause belly bloat. You can gain weight and not be able to know what it's coming from because you haven't changed anything. Always, 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 if you think that you're in perimenopause, go and get some help and be proactive, because it is not just night sweats and hot flashes. And it's not just hair. It is your bones, because you have a great increase. I forgot even how much it is, 15% or something for the first 5 years. I forgot what the statistics were, but your bones, from the time that your estrogen drops, are starting to become like Swiss cheese. Yeah, osteopenia, that's where it becomes Swiss cheese. Osteoporosis, you are in big trouble. And estrogen protects you from that. Estrogen protects you from that. Estrogen protects your heart from heart attacks. People who go through perimenopause, they've completely upped their risk of cardiovascular disease. And in addition, Alzheimer's, all cases of dementia, but Alzheimer's is the most common. Your rate of dementia and Alzheimer's shoots way up if you're not on hormone replacement therapy. And remember, for the most part, there is a very small population, even if that is the case, because more and more people are deciding, I've had breast cancer. We had somebody come to the retreat that had breast cancer, that they took all the hormones away. She had a mastectomy, reconstruction, all of that. She finished her last round of chemo a week before the Live Young Healthy Aging Retreat. She sat down with Dr. Segosha and is deciding to get back on hormones because she is more afraid of having Alzheimer's disease, which runs in her family. She never had cancer run in her family. It was a fluke. She got it in time. We're really good at curing that stuff now. And I don't mean we're perfect at it, because there's so many people die every year from breast cancer. But think about how many people are affected from Alzheimer's, from osteoporosis, which will then cause falls and fractures, which is very difficult to recover from even after the age of 65. It's hard to get back all of that functioning. So that is a topic for another live, but I could not get off of here. When somebody says, I think I'm in perimenopause, run to your doctor. Put it in your notes right now. Set an alarm. Monday morning, first thing, make a call. Make a call. Get your hormones tested. Okay, everybody. I'm going to get off of here. Thanks for sticking around and being a part of this community. I really appreciate you. This was a hard live for me to do, a very vulnerable live show for me to do. So I appreciate all the encouragement, and I appreciate you guys all being here. I'm going to post it to my main feed. Remember that the keyword is hair loss, and I'll get you the links to all this stuff. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. All right, have a good day.